Hey everyone, welcome to the Redwood Real Estate Report. I'm Annalise von Borstel with Hyperion Humboldt Realty.
And I'm Ben Larson with Larson Home Loans.
And we're coming to you from Eureka. We're in the Gross Building down in Old Town, where both Larson Home Loans and Hyperion Humboldt Realty have our office spaces.
That's right, Old Town Eureka, 427 F Street, the historical Gross Building. As usual, they can find a link to the Ben Larson Show YouTube channel on larsonhomeloans.com. There's a podcast tab on the top right-hand corner of the website. Or you can go to YouTube and search The Ben Larson Show, find it there. It's also on Podbean and coming soon, hopefully by the time this is listed, to other channels like Apple iTunes, Spotify. It'll be on Spotify this month. iTunes have had a little bit of trouble getting set up, but it'll be coming soon.
Okay, good. And I'll link it on my YouTube page as well, Hyperion Humboldt, and you can also view some documentaries about the home buying experience there at Hyperion Humboldt YouTube.
Those are a great watch, so check those out as well.
Well, let's start off with market keys of the month.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll kick it off. Market keys of the month. I'll start with some mortgage data for us. I'll look at our rates over a 30-day period, month over month comparison. So I'll give a comparison of April's rates to March, just to show a trend of where things have gone over the last 60 days. To kick off the month of April, we were at a 6.71% rate. And again, that's a national average for 30-year fixed rates. So let's keep that in mind as we go through the numbers. Let's compare that to March 1st, 2025, where we were at 6.74. So just a slight tick down, 0.03% to kick off the month. April 4th, 2025 was the lowest point in rates for the month of April, 6.6%. And on April 11th, 2025, mortgage rates hit its peak at 7.07%. Compare that to the peak for the month of March, which was on March 27th at 6.82. So it did tick up in about almost a 0.5% swing there over a 7-day window in the month of April. Yeah. So a lot of volatility last month.
So Ben, with a swing of 0.5% in that amount of time or at all, what does that look like for a buyer's monthly payment?
So it does depend on your loan amount, right? The bigger loan amount's going to have a bigger swing, but let's use, the average price in Humboldt, which you'll get into later, was around $400,000, a little bit over.
30.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a 20% down purchase on a $400,000 home would leave you with a loan amount of $320,000, and a 0.5% rate movement on that, up or down, is about $110 a month.
Okay.
With a 0.5%.
And all within 1 week.
Yeah.
You could either have a better by $115.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So if your lender locked you in on April 4th versus locking you in April 11th, that could meant over $100 difference on your payment.
That's
yeah. And if you had a bigger loan amount than $320, it'd be more. Smaller would be a little less. Yeah. So to continue on with where our rates went at the end of the month, April 30th, rates closed out the month at 6.81. Compare that to where they closed out in March at 6.74. So the month of April started 6.71, closed out at 6.81. So a very modest tick up, 0.1% over the course of a month. So not a huge difference. And again, over the last 60 days, we've seen rates only between 6.71 and 6.81. So not a ton of volatility beginning to end of month, but within those months, some significant movement. So timing those rate locks is ever critical in this market. Application volume, my next market key of the month. The most recent reliable weekly data was through April 17th. So take us back, a couple weeks, but it showed a refi app drop of 12% and a purchase app drop of 5%. But even given those drops, we still remain 13% above where we were last year. So when I say app drop, that's just like over week, so from the previous week. But again, year over year, we're 13% above where we were in 2024. Now, if we look at a 2-year rolling average for app volume, it shows an increase of about 6.9%. So what that means is we're above where we were in 2024, but we haven't caught back up to where we were in 2023 just yet, but not far behind, just maybe 6-7% behind where we were in 2023.
And that's a national.
Those are national numbers. Those aren't Humboldt numbers. Market data for Humboldt, not available to the best of my knowledge. I've been trying to track down some stuff with the county and things like that, but you have to file special requests for information. It's not easily obtained. For my next market key, I have some statistics for you. And again, these are national statistics, but they're interesting, and they do shed some light on just kind of the strength of, I guess, the overall real estate market. Americans owe $12.61 trillion on 85.1 million mortgages. So that's an average of $148,120 per mortgage. Mortgage debt represents 69.9% of all U.S. consumer debt. So 70% of all the consumer debt in the country is held on mortgages. So keeping in mind that 12.61 trillion outstanding mortgage debt, through quarter 4 of 2024, Americans held $34.8 trillion, or 72.3% of the total value of residential real estate assets in the U.S. in equity. So of the total value of real estate, there's $34.8 trillion of equity and $12.61 trillion of debt. So a pretty strong market. I mean, an overwhelming majority of the value is in equity.
And would you agree that a lot of that equity was just built over appreciation and inflation as opposed to principal paydowns?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at a 30-year real estate appreciation in this country, 30 years is the longest. Typically, you can do a 40-year mortgage in some circumstances, but few and far between. So that's a good window to look at an appreciation average. And it's historically 3.5% to 4%, I believe. So you're going to be, in it over the long haul. Real estate's a long hold, right? A lot of people, unless you're flipping or doing those things. But if you're a home buyer, plan on living like primary residence, you're going to typically see a 4% increase in value per year.
Well, I think that's just a testament to the wisdom of investing and leveraging real estate debt.
Yeah, it's a critical piece to so many people's investment strategy and wealth building over the course of their lifetime. And it's been one of the most consistent, stable returns on your dollar that you could do for in any investment vehicle. Okay. And so that does it for my mortgage market keys, Annalise. What do you have for us?
Well, I know we already talked about price a little bit, but let me expand on percent compared with April of last year and 5% for year to date. So we ended April with an average sales price of about $520,000. We can see that there was a massive boost in sales of homes over $1 million because, the median sale price was just $436,000. So those higher end sales are throwing off the average quite a bit. Overall sales were also up, which reflects the app increase as well that you were seeing. Sales are up about 8%, but active inventory is outpacing sales. We have about 90 additional active listings on the market than we had last April, and that represents a 21.5% increase. So there's a lot for buyers to look at out there, and that's really at nearly every price point. Buyers and sellers also seem to be agreeing a bit more on prices because the sold to list price ratio in Humboldt was back up to 95%, and it's been nearly a year since we were that close to agreeing on list price and sale price.
Well, in the inventory piece of that, it's really good to see that climbing because we've been at historical lows for too long, it seems like.
And then getting more into specific cities, Eureka's year-to-date average sale price at the end of April was $418,000. So that's up less than 0.25% from last year. So pretty flat in Eureka. But total sales are up 8% for the year in Eureka. But again, added inventory is way up compared with last year, or rather last April. So we have 36% more active listings on the market today than we did last
So
April.
with more inventory, you're seeing that 8% increase in volume, which that
8%.
makes sense.
So prices are up very slightly, sales are up a good amount, and inventory is up. So it's an interesting time, but again, great time for buyers to be looking because there's a lot to look at in every price range. And we talked about Arcata in the past, how it doesn't really have a big chunk of the pie in regards to overall inventory in Humboldt. So one or two sales can really throw things off there. And I don't want to come off as overly dramatic, but there are some pretty significant swings happening in that community, and I don't think we should ignore it. Year to date, there have been 23 sales in Arcata. Last year, by the end of April, there had been 28, so that's a decrease of 18%. Average sale price is up 10%, so it's 662,000. But average days on the market has soared to 77 days compared with last year's 29. So that's a 165% increase in average days on the market.
And what do you attribute that to?
Well, I really do think for Arcata specifically, it has to do with the new dorm facility that's going to be opening up because students are already getting approved and planning their move-in dates for those facilities. It's going to be a lot of new units coming to the market all at once. So that's going to affect the real estate sales market and the real estate rental market. And I don't handle real estate, but I would anticipate vacancy rates are going to be going up a little bit, and that might increase inventory even more, which could help relieve some of that pressure on the higher prices.
Well, maybe some good news for incoming students in the city of Arcata.
Yeah.
And buyers as well.
Buyers who
yeah, really
want to be
both.
in Arcata.
Yeah.
The active listings in Arcata are up 93% compared
Wow.
with last April already, and those dorms haven't opened yet.
Interesting.
So it is. So the next few months, I think this is going to impact the market in Arcata for the next year or two before things start kind of normalizing again. But there's also additional dorms and rehabilitated dorms that are going to be coming on the market throughout that time as well. So.
Yeah, there's so much going on in the city of Arcata with, Cal Poly developments, with short-term vacation rental ordinances and things. And there's so much going on. There's a lot that goes into those numbers. And it's an interesting market to keep an eye on, like you said.
And that's not even taking into account gateway plan, which is going but that's very long-term, I think. Yeah, it's a great time to be looking to buy in Arcata right now. But again, not to be overly dramatic. We're talking about 24 houses that are coming up with those figures.
Small sample size. Yeah.
All right. So the Fortuna market's still growing strong. They've seen nearly 15% increase in average sale price. Fortuna's average sale price is $473,000. And they're also not seeing a ton of added inventory like the other markets have been seeing. Days on the market in Fortuna is down nearly 22% from last year. So if you are looking to sell in Fortuna, now's a great time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of the opposite trend of Arcata.
Yeah. No, not as dramatic, but sold to list ratio in McKinleyville is over 98%. So sellers should feel good about that, pricing their homes right. And the median days on the market is just 13 in McKinleyville.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that the shortest of any of our local markets?
Yes, it's actually way lower than any of the other cities we've talked about today. It feels like a pretty solid market. Average sale prices in McKinleyville year to date, $124,000.
Okay. So strong median sale price, very little days on the market.
Sold to list ratio is solid.
So McKinleyville, Fortuna, hot markets for sellers.
Good markets for sellers.
Good markets for sellers.
So I do want to take a little bit of a step back because last month I had mentioned that the state data just isn't released in a very timely manner. So I didn't have Q1 numbers to report then, but now I have the state Q1 numbers. So I just wanted to dive into that a little bit, understanding that these numbers do not include April figures yet, but that's what we've been talking to up until now for our local Humboldt market. Overall median sale prices for the first quarter of California was $884,000, which is a 3.5% increase year over year and a 5-month high. The absorption rate was 3.5 months. You remember what the absorption rate is?
I
Did
do.
I put you on the spot?
It's the time frame with if there were no new listings to come available, how long it would take for all the current listings to be sold.
Nailed it. Yeah, so 3.5 months is how long it would take in California.
And a healthy market's 3 to 6 or
balance
balance?
is between 5 and 6.
5 and 6. So we're
generally.
still on the fast moving side,
we're still
the seller
a seller's
side.
market in California. The different markets in California
absolutely.
generally. Median days on the market was 22, and in California, the sold to list ratio was 100%.
Okay, so sellers are getting their asking price.
They're pricing their homes correctly for the market. They're getting what they're asking for. But that's an average. The share of homes that is actually being sold above the asking price jumped to a 7-month high. So about 40% of homes are selling for a above list price.
Half above, half below, or half at,
roughly.
somewhere in there.
40%.
Seems like a healthy market.
Yeah, total active listings is starting to look a little bit more like pre-COVID years, trending up. It's 54% up from last year. It's still down from pre-COVID years, like 2019, but it's getting back up there. California is a big state, right? And Humboldt market can look very different. But I think it's important for context.
Absolutely.
For real estate professionals as well as buyers and sellers.
Absolutely.
So those are my market keys for the month. I would be really curious what you're interested in hearing about, because we can hone in on specific markets, on specific figures, timelines. Just put in the comments what you're interested in hearing about.
Yeah, we love feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys on how to make the show better and how to, give you information that you can use in your professional and personal lives. So let us know. So moving on, our next session, let's keep our listeners up to date on what's going on in the community.
Okay, well, I want to talk about the Boots and Bling event that the Boys and Girls Club is putting on. They always throw a great party, and that's kind of a rhinestone cowboy themed event, and it's for a great cause. The Boys and Girls Club provides so many different programs for kids after school and for their professional development in the long run.
And when and where is that?
That's going to be May 10th. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Conference Center.
May 10th, Sequoia Conference Center.
Tickets are still available. Take a look. But Boots and Bling, Boys and Girls Club of the Redwoods.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
What you got going on?
I've got a few things here. Don't mind if I do. First, I'd like to hit on my other podcast series, The Ben Larson Show. I just did a couple interviews. I did Steve Watson, the retired Eureka City police chief. That was a really good 2-hour conversation. So that'll be posted on the same channel, The Ben Larson Show on YouTube. Also the same link at larsonhomeloans.com. And then I also did Will Fisher, who's an economics professor at Cal Poly Humboldt. So that was a really interesting conversation. I got to have him back again because he's a really interesting guy. We had so much to talk about. We just kind of scratched the surface with him on where we could go in that first podcast. And that was also, I think, 2.5 hours. So a lot of information.
And both of those are posted already?
They're not posted yet. So they will be up very soon. Give me a week.
Okay, little teaser. Okay.
Little teaser there, but it's coming very, very soon. And I also do a little mortgage education series with 5-minute videos covering mortgage-related topics that I think you guys could find useful. So more community. Back to the community. The Kinetic Grand Championship. Day 1 kicks off on the Arcata Plaza on May 24th. That's a really family-friendly event. It's a 3-day, 42-mile exotic bicycle race over land, sand, mud, and water. So they, if you've never been there, you really should check it out on the plaza.
Cannot be missed.
Yeah, and then 3 days later, they finish on Main Street in Ferndale. So you get to see them come across the finish line. And it's really a big celebration because those teams, just trekked 42 miles over every type of terrain you could imagine.
It's such a fun event. People put so much thought and creativity into their sculptures.
Yeah.
And just the engineering behind them as well, being able to travel over land and sea. That's my favorite part, is when they have to go into the water and
They're kinetic
float or not.
They're kinetic sculptures, so human powered, basically adapted bicycles. And yeah, you're mentioning dropping into the water. I believe they call it the perilous plunge. They kind of drop down a steep sandy embankment into the bay. And
No, you're thinking of Dead Man's Drop.
Oh, Dead Man's Drop.
Get into the bay from.
Oh, you're right.
Yep.
You're right. Dead Man's Drop. Okay.
Get it straight, man.
There's lots of things, lots of fun activities you can participate in and watch them. Some of these teams have been together for decades. A lot of local businesses sponsor teams, local artists. It's a really one of the best family-friendly events we have in Humboldt County.
Some of those.
Yeah. They breathe fire. They have movement. The heads move. The tails move. There's it's a lot of fun.
It's so Humboldt.
Yeah, got to check it out. Check it out. On a slightly sadder note, we have that significantly sadder note. The Mad River Hatchery is pending closure. That kind of just broke in the last few days. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this. From what I've gathered, is the California Department of Fish and Wildlife determined that it needs $1 million a year just in additional budget for operations, and then a $10 to $30 million would be needed for infrastructure and modernization to bring it up to current standards. And it just seems like they've determined that it's not economically feasible. There is the hatchery on the Trinity River that can release, I believe, up to 450,000 fish a year, compared to Mad River is capped at 150,000 per year. So it's sad news for all the fishermen and nature conservationists out there. But, I don't know, maybe we can maybe something will happen. Maybe things will change.
I did hear that it's currently considered a temporary closure. We'll see.
Yeah, so that's some local news. But again, that kinetic sculpture race, super fun. Boys and Girls Club, great cause. Get out and support them. And Annalise, you have a featured listing of the month for us?
Before we go, I wanna give a little shout out to my featured listing, which is 1111 B Street here in Eureka. This is a beautiful Victorian with a lot of potential. All of the major stuff has been done really recently. There was a brand new roof put on in 2025. The electrical's been upgraded. There's a new panel. There's gas lines that have been updated. It's got a perimeter foundation, a detached garage with plumbing, and the sewer line has been done. It's zoned multifamily. Lots could be, for income potential. It's there. That being said, there's still some work to be done. A lot of the cosmetic stuff, flooring, painting, that could bring this house all the way. So if you are looking for a fun project, if you've always dreamed of renovating a Victorian, this is your chance. Again, the big stuff has been done. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath home. Also has a secret sauna.
A secret sauna.
It's a secret sauna. Yeah.
Okay.
Come check it out. Schedule a showing so you can find it. And there is an additional kitchen that's been designed in the upstairs section of the house. So already moving towards
a second unit, maybe. Okay.
So 1111 B Street in Eureka. Schedule a showing with your favorite realtor today.
And it's so important on those Victorian, homes that the big stuff is done. It sounds like this one's had most of that done, or all of it done.
It's just really the fun stuff left. Is
all right, it's done, all the dirty work's done, and you can make it your own. There you go. Yep. Well, thank you for that, Annalise. Really appreciate it. Again, you guys can find us on the Ben Larson Show on YouTube, larsonhomeloans.com. Annalise will share it on socials and her YouTube channel as well, I'm sure. Keep your eye out for it. And thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can always catch our latest content and our latest show.
And comment. Please let us know what you want to hear about.
Please do. We'd love to hear from you. So we will see you again next month. Again, I'm Ben Larson with Larson Home Loans.
And I'm Annalise von Borstel with Hyperion Humboldt Realty.
Thanks for joining us.